team in 2017. Now been experienced in this lineup for Mason for 4 years. Davidson gets things underway, and we have 90 minutes of great A-10 action coming to you from Alumni Stadium. Grace Voss with her first touch of the afternoon, looking ahead for Casey, and Menard controls. Davidson's going to look to dominate possession today, and they look to Gretchen Pearson on the wing. And Braemer rushing against Kelberman. Played upfield for Kayla Hamrick, the leading returning point woman for this Mason team. 3 goals and 3 assists. There's going to be a lot of pressure on her to produce this season. Mason just hasn't been able to get in the goals. Their leading shot taker only has 2 shots on the year. They've had a really rough go of things, but they'll be looking to turn it around here at Alumni Stadium. It's a clean slate as we open A-10 play. Looking for Menard in the middle, cleared only as far as Caruso. And they give it back to the junior midfielder from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Cross drilled to the back post, looking for Pearson. A little high, and Menard going to rush onto it. Davidson ramping up the pressure early. Last season, they had a knack for early goals. Hit VCU, St. Joe's, and Duquesne, I believe, all within the first 5 minutes. This year, it's been a little more labored in attack, except for the William Peace game when they scored 2 goals in the first 6 minutes and didn't look back. Caruso cedes the corner. It looks like Menard will take. And taken short. Sliker can't steer it into the danger area. And a simple goal kick coming for Louisa Moser. For Mason today, Louisa Moser in goal. Kelberman on the left. Marissa Kelberman, the grad student from Bolton, Massachusetts. Our player to watch, Kolbrun Ayosdotter and Sophie Karras in the center, and Carrie Yoon on the right. Meanwhile, Kayla Hamrick is the big attacking piece for this Mason team on the wing. Grace Hodling and Nadja Ashman in the center. On the wing, we have the freshman midfielder from Munich, Germany, in Dernberger. And then up front, look out for Dashika Kolkum and Jasmine Hamid making her second start of the year. And Mason charging forward here. Foul against what looks to be Kolkum, and a free kick coming for Davidson. As we mentioned, this George Mason team has had its struggles on both sides, about what they were last season. Allowed a little over 2 goals a game in 2019. In 2021, they're allowing a flat 2. 6 goals in 3 games. 3 straight 2-0 score lines. And I'm sure Davidson would take a 2-0 to open A-10 play today. It's a beautiful day here at Alumni Stadium. A bit windy, but a great day for soccer. And the fans packing Alumni Stadium. Quite nice to see them back in attendance. We've talked about that almost every broadcast. It's just obviously with the pandemic and everything, we love seeing them distanced and masked up, but still in attendance. Throw coming for the right back, Catherine Smith. And finds Casey, the forward today. Davidson showing some initiative here early. They did a great job getting down the wings in the opening 2.5 minutes. That time looking in the center, but no issues there for Moser to claim. And Kelberman to Eyolfsdotter. As we mentioned, junior from Reykjavik, Iceland. Looking for Hamrick. And it's played back to Yoon. Playing left back today, intercepted by Menard, and Davidson looks to head forward once again. Good ball from Sliker, looking for Braemer. Looking in the middle, Hannah Casey scores! Great cross from Allie Menard, and Hannah Casey gets ahead to it. Nothing you can do there if you're Louisa Moser, and Davidson up to a quick 1-0 lead. And we were talking about the success they had headed down the wings. Very, very brilliant example of that, and the Wildcats finish that off with a simple header. And our player to watch today is in the goals this afternoon. Not the start you want if you're Mason. Obviously, expected to potentially come in here and keep this thing tight and narrow, but now they're going to have to score their first goal of the year if they want to get back in this thing. Jasmine Hamid trying to charge through midfield. Menard all over her. And looking for Kolkum now. cleared by Voss. Davidson with a dream start. We mentioned their knack for early goals. This one, another one coming within the first 5 minutes. Their second straight game, they've scored a goal in the first 5. And the assist credited actually to Hailey Braemer. In her last 2 games now, including this one, she has 2 goals and 2 assists. She is Davidson's leading point woman and comes up big there with the assist to Casey. Meanwhile, I believe Hannah Casey's first career goal just came on that play. Yes, it did. So Casey starting up front, her 3rd career start, grabs her first collegiate goal. Excellent day so far for the sophomore forward from Marietta, Georgia. And now Mason looking to push their back line up and exert a little more pressure, playing out wide to Carrie Yoon on the left. No issues there for Copper, trying to launch it for Casey, the goal scorer. And instead ushered back to Moser. And Louisa Moser has been a regular mainstay in net at least since last year. I kind of took over the role late last year. Before that, her freshman year started all 16 games. Then her sophomore year weirdly just didn't play much. That 2018 campaign where Mason had so much success. We'll get into George Mason's rich history of soccer in a bit, at least on the women's soccer front. And Bunch will possess this one with no pressure. But it's been difficult for Moser. She's been peppered all year, has faced 42 shots now if you count the goal. And a crazy stat, Mason has allowed more shots on goal than shots they've taken. They took 17 shots or 16 shots coming into today. Now they've allowed 20 that came on goal. So not the most ideal start to 2021 if you are the Patriots. Or, of course, Coach Todd Bramble in his 6th season. Menard surging down the right wing. And Hamid looking to clear. Instead, it's Offer and a throw coming for Sam Casio. Fullback's getting very aggressive. We talked about the tactics Davidson likes to use from fullback. They play Catherine Smith on the right, a more defensive-minded fullback who can push forward and whip in the occasional cross. And then on the left, they like their left back to surge ahead and try to create chances. Casio playing that role today. Of course, we've seen Phoebe Fowler do that so admirably on the left as well. And it's a point we like to talk about before each match, just to set the scene. Goal kick coming from Moser. And we alluded to this a few minutes ago, but George Mason has a very rich tradition of women's soccer. The program was started in the early 80s, and they were an NCAA contender right off the bat. They made 11 NCAA tournaments, 4 Final Fours, and reached 3 national championship games. They actually made Final Fours in 1983, 1985, and 1986. They won the national championship in 1985. And they had their most success in the mid-late 80s, early 90s. They managed to have a brief spell of success late in the 90s as well. In 96 and 97, reached the CAA conference tournament title games. Flick on from Menard looking for Braemer, who's been involved early. Menard, Braemer, and Casey have really been all over things thus far today. Menard's doing a great job being box-to-box, logging some tackles, bringing the ball down wings and creating chances. And, of course, Braemer on the assist to Casey. All 3 of them have been very influential here early. Ball for Yoon out wide. It's out of play, and a throw coming for Davidson. And Coach Todd Bramble also, in his 6th year, has had plenty of success with the Patriots. I think they say the throw was taken too quickly, and Casio will redo this. But yeah, Coach Bramble took over the program in 2015. Had come off a bit of a rocky first 2 years in the A10. 2 records at 500 and slightly below. And he really turned them around. They made, from 2015 to 2018, made 3 A10 semifinals in 4 seasons. But then last year, very difficult. Went 3-11-3 and only had 1 A10 win. That actually came against the Wildcats in Fairfax in a 1-0 affair. Allowed 35 goals on the year, and it was just very difficult. They had a lot of players kind of transfer out of the program. And, of course, into this year as well, they actually lost 3 of their top 7 point scorers. So it's a Mason team that's rebuilding and just trying to find the right combination of players and recruit well. Coach Bramble did a good job rebuilding them once before, and I'm sure he can do it once again. They'll be looking to hopefully, in their eyes, grab a goal back and potentially show some initiative here. Ball played back to Smith, navigating over to Caruso. Caruso, heavy touch, and it's going back to the women in green. Tenacious defending from the sophomore midfielder. And Colcom is shoved through the back by Smith. A free kick coming for the Patriots in a potentially dangerous area. And again, the big areas where you're going to hit if you're Mason are likely the counterattack or set pieces. Especially, I mean, we suspected that coming into today, but the way you've watched it unfold, the Wildcats have dominated possession, really controlled it in Mason's half, and you can expect they'll try to do that the rest of the afternoon. So if you're Mason, you're going to have to hit quickly or hit on an organized opportunity. There is a free kick on the way. Grace Hoteling, the sophomore midfielder from Delmar, New York, stands over it. She had 3 goals and 1 assist last year for 7 points. The second leading returning point woman for the Patriots. A lot of maneuvering in the penalty area, and now Hoteling to whip it in. Dangerous area, and Bunch gets a glove to it. Caruso looking to usher it out of trouble, and they're going to say it's a goal kick. Good effort there from Jasmine Hamid, but Caruso does her job just a bit better, and a goal kick coming for Bunch on the wing here. And instead, actually, they're going to say it was a free kick, say Caruso got shoved through the back. And now taken quickly, we are back underway. 10 minutes gone, Davidson leading 1-0 courtesy of an early Hannah Casey header. Trying to continue to establish momentum. Their third D1 goal in 4 games. And it seems like the confidence from Wednesday is carried over. Things looked a bit choppier earlier in the season. And then, of course, they had that outburst against the D3 William Peace Pacers on Wednesday. Since then, early on at least, they look very confident. They broke down Mason quite well early, and they'll look to continue that. They haven't shown many signs of trouble at the back just yet, but we saw against VMI they didn't show many and just got caught out once, and that was enough for a 1-1 draw. Ball drilled forward looking for Casey, and now Braemer with a flying header. Kelverman lets it roll back to Moser, and a goal. And just she's going to claim that quite simply. Kelberman in center back alongside Eyolfsdotter. And then in a more pivot role is Dernberger, the freshman from Munich, Germany. Long ball for Colcom, who's been involved early, drew the free kick about 2 minutes ago, but losing it out of play that time for a throw. She's really put a lot of pressure on Voss and Smith, trying to occupy those 2 defenders. Throw looking ahead for Menard. Davidson advancing upfield, and another one coming. Cats with 1 shot coming on goal, wound up in the back of the net. It was the Hannah Casey header around the 5th minute. And it's also important to note, it wasn't just last season that Davidson really hit teams early. They actually scored in the 5th minute against Western Carolina in the season opener, their win there. Wildcats, as we mentioned, really like to catch teams off guard, and they're aggressive going forward. Pearson on the wing was quite involved against VMI and William Peace, surging past Kelberman on the right flank. Low cross, drilled into the middle, and the dinked shot just goes wide from Menard. Another great spell of quick buildup from Davidson, and that's something they do so well. They slow you up, they get you comfortable, and then they hit you quick down the wings with crosses. And this time drawing another corner. Braemer and Caruso in the corner area. Braemer standing over it. They took it short last time. You might see a dummy move here. And they go short once again. Set up cross from Braemer. Good flick from Sliker. Pearson with the flying knee, and ultimately claimed by Moser. An intriguing opportunity by Davidson, though, in the 15th minute. Ailstarter going to try to connect the lines. Mason's really struggled to build from the back. Davidson hasn't even really run such an aggressive press. They have the diamond midfield with Menard at the top of it, and Menard's done very well to intercept points at the source. The wings have cut off passes, and obviously Caruso is that failsafe protecting the back line. She's been so good the last 2 years. And Mason looking down the wing now. Intriguing ball into the center. Pearson gets a boot to it, and we'll look for Casey. It looks like Hamrick actually switched wings, was trying to put pressure on Smith. An interesting decision there, given that Smith is more defensively oriented, at least in the tactical setup, than Casio is. But Casio, of course, a center back by trade, so maybe they expect to go at the fullback a little more. And now Mason settling on it a bit more than they have in the past. Nice move from Dernberger in defensive midfield. And green shirt surging forward. Copper with no pressure lets it roll back to Bunch. Mary Grace Bunch, as we've talked about on these broadcasts over the last couple weeks, an all A10 second teamer. Very impressive campaign last year. It's had a pretty solid year this year as well. And the more impressive thing actually about Bunch was the fact that she only did that by playing 11 games. Sarah Lamadou, the then senior, actually was replaced by her midseason after Lamadou suffered a bit of a knock, and Bunch kind of took over the goalie spot and was dominant in between the sticks last year. Ailstarter is down clutching her leg for Mason. We certainly hope she's all right. And going to walk off. Looks like she was just a bit shaken up. The physios come out to tend to her. And Mason not going to the bench yet. Quick huddle. The Patriots trying to regroup here. And Ailstarter looked to be okay, actually. She wanted to run back in the huddle and get things going once again, but the rule is you have to come out until the next stoppage of play. About 16, 17 minutes gone here at Alumni Stadium. Wildcats will be happy with what they've seen so far. Mason's really struggled to stop them on the wings. Kelberman's deputized there. Yoon's been there. Karras has also tried to stop things on the opposite flank. But nothing really doing for Mason, at least in terms of limiting attacks. Substitution coming for Mason. It is Caitlin Butcher, the sophomore defender from Fredericksburg, Virginia. She will replace Ailstarter at least temporarily. And Bushick enters the action for Davidson. Of course, Bushick actually scored the goal against VMI late in the first half to put Davidson up 1-0. 2 career goals. Both scored in non-conference play. And she will occupy the second forward spot alongside Casey. It appears Braemer has headed to the bench. And an interesting decision here from the Patriots. It appears they flopped wings. They're running more of a 4-2-3-1 at the moment, but they have Hamrick now on the right-hand side, despite starting her on the left. Trying to adjust the tactics as Menard intercepts and draws the free kick. Caitlin Butcher entering, as we mentioned. She made a start against number 10 Virginia last weekend. She's played about 30 to 35 minutes off the bench in the other 2 games. And played her season-high 76 minutes last year in a 2-2 draw against UCF. Copper with the big boot from center back to take this free kick, trying to loft it into the corridor of uncertainty. Lofted high, looking for Menard's head. And a solid clearance by Yoon, only as far as Casio. And Davidson will play around the back. You see Hamid launching a bit more pressure for the Patriots, trying to find the right recipe to generate some attacks. And if you're Mason, we did mention that you try to hit them on the counter, you hit them on set pieces. Maybe you throw a striker a bit aggressively when a Wildcat defender isn't expecting it. Voss and Copper are known for being very composed at the back. They're very, very experienced despite only being sophomores. So it will be tough, but I mean, your best chance might just be catching out an errant pass and taking it right at Bunch's net as well. Another free kick coming. Copper standing over it once again. And floating it to the back post. Looking for Casey. Already has one headed goal to her name today. And Menard dueling with Colcom, who wins that battle. And now Hoteling. Tracking over is Karras. And Mason withstands that little spell of pressure from the Wildcats. One sub each for Mason and Davidson. Obviously, Bushick entered earlier, and Butcher entered for Eilsdotter, who had a bit of a knock on her leg. She looked like she wanted to get back out there, but it looked like the physios wanted to at least give her a rest and tend to her a little more. Menard rushing after that one. It is played back to Moser. And we mentioned the pressure on Moser throughout this year. She's had 13 saves to her name, has 4 career clean sheets. She's got a 68.4% save rate. And as we said, her goal has just been bombarded all season. 20 shots on it, despite Mason only taking 16 all year. And Bunch will boot it long. Casey going down. Referee does not blow his whistle. And the Wildcats have that one intercepted by Hoteling. Rushing forward now come the Patriots. And a nice move by the sophomore midfielder, but intercepted by Cassio, who has been very composed on that left flank, despite it maybe not being her natural position entering Davidson. "25 minutes left in this first half. The Wildcats leading 1-0 courtesy of a 5th-minute Hannah Casey header. They've had a few half chances since. Menard had a decent look at things. That just sprayed a bit wide off a deflection. The Wildcats, as we've said, have been most impressive on the wings. Pearson and Braemer wreaked a lot of havoc down the lines in whipping crosses for the likes of Menard and Casey. Here is Caruso. Puts on the savvy footwork. Touch intercepted, though, by Mason. Hamid. Trying to surge past Copper and some tricky footwork. No issues there as Copper and Smith close her down quite well. And Hamrick. Spraying it for Yoon, who's been a little more involved going forward these last few minutes. A bit of space for the shot. Driven low by Dernberger, but no trouble for Bunch. A bit of space for her to run into, and took it well. Maybe could have even taken a few more touches on it, but didn't want to risk being closed down by Copper, and just fizzed it a bit low. Didn't take the awkward knuckle it needed. Headed backwards for Smith. And Caruso navigating. Talk about Caruso's box-to-box ability today. Maybe oriented a little further back. They're letting their wings be aggressive and have Caruso as the fail-save option to cut anything off going the other way on the counter. Especially being up, they don't want to throw too many bodies forward. Of course, you want to put this out of reach. A big problem for Davidson the past couple years is when you build a lead, sometimes they'll get caught out and not be able to hit back afterwards because the other team parks the bus. Happened against VMI twice in the last 2 years now. And now another change. Allie Menard for Emma Nguyen. Nguyen making her second appearance of the campaign, her first since the season opener. And Nguyen played a lot last year off the bench. Good to see her back in action once again for the Wildcats. Pearson looking for Bushick. Can't quite communicate properly there, and a goal kick coming. Another change this time for Mason. And it appears Butcher will exit once again for Ialfsdottir. Mason headed back to mostly their starting lineup. The only change now is Sarah Chantaj is in the game, the junior midfielder, also from Reykjavik, Iceland. I'll spare the Iceland references. I think you guys have heard enough on any basketball game ever called. Played back to Moser. Any Davidson game, that is. And Hamid. Looking for Hoteling. And played back to Ialfsdottir, moving cleanly and comfortably. Good to see her back on the field and good to go. It looked like she was all right. Just wanted to make sure she was good to continue. A bit of a knock, but looking very smooth at center back on that possession. Goal kick for Bunch. About 25 minutes-ish gone in the first half. Davidson still leading 1-0. The pace of the match has slowed up a little. And we know Davidson, when they get up, sometimes struggle to put games away. Did not struggle to do that against William Peace on Wednesday. Had 2 goals in the opening 6 and just kept piling it on throughout. But obviously Mason, a different opponent, a D1 opponent. They have had their defensive struggles, but it's going to be a bit harder to break them down than it was the Pacers Wednesday. Hamrick on the far side, trying to navigate around Caruso. And that was actually Sliker who applied the pressure. Another throw coming for Mason. Now down the line for Holcomb. Tries to find Hamid. Cross just winds up fizzling over to Bunch. The spring season, Davidson glad to be playing once again. 2-1-1 on the campaign. Another solid start for the Wildcats. Last year, of course, had an 8-8-3 finish. Started very fast. Finished 3-5 in A10 play. And lost out on the tournament. Finished tied for 10th. But a lot of promising signs going forward for a Davidson team trying to make noise in the Atlantic 10 tournament for the first time in quite a while, actually. Had a very rough spell in 2017 and 18 and bounced back in 2019. Coach Denton in his second season, then credited how well the players adapted to his system. Bushick cuts inside and finds Caruso, who's pushed a little further ahead. The metronome in midfield for the Wildcats. And now Sliker. But as we say, Davidson, sometimes they'll slow it up when they're up. And the big thing they've tried to do this year is hit quickly when the other team isn't expecting it. And Copper looking to do that potentially here. Cross fizzed wide to Smith. Now looking inside for Casey. Casey already had one-headed goal. It fizzed over to Smith to win, and she couldn't quite get a touch on it before Moser claimed it. Clock underneath 20 minutes now left in the first. Davidson still leading 1-0, looking composed and controlled. They're just going to want to make sure they put this thing out of reach when possible. Davidson with 2 shots, 1 coming on frame. Mason has a shot on goal from Dernberg. Didn't really trouble Bunch. And the Patriots have had intriguing spells of possession, but again, nothing that's troubled the back line of the Wildcats just yet. Voss and Copper have been very solid. Smith and Kazi have also cut things off on the wings, as Smith just does there. Ball intended for Hamrick. Mary Grace Bunch, Davidson's #1 goalkeeper, making her 5th start of the year, coming in with 4 saves. Was not forced into any saves on Wednesday. Only played about 20 minutes before the Wildcats went up 3 goals and then subbed her out for Taylor O'Byrne, the junior goalkeeper, and gave O'Byrne a lot of run and experience in her first collegiate appearance. And Casio looking for Bushick. Can't quite keep it in play. More changes coming for Davidson, trying to go deeper into the bench now.
Subbing in for George Mason, number 8, Sarah Chontosh, and number 25, Katie Saunders. Checking in for the Wildcats, number 6, Brooke Ditcham, and number 28, Hailey Braemer.
Chontosh and Saunders entering for Mason. Brooke Ditcham making her 2nd collegiate appearance off the bench. Started against William Peace and looked dangerous going forward, and then Braemer re-entering. Wildcats giving other players some more run, and it appears Ditcham is going to occupy that left side of the diamond midfield, with Caruso still at the base of it. Now Emma Wynn leading the point of that diamond midfield, playing behind Casey and Braemer, the original striker duo, to open today. Hoteling loses out to Pearson, who charges ahead, handled comfortably by Kelberman, the grad student, transferred from Stony Brook, actually made the NCAA tournament her first year in 2017. 2016 did not play, took a redshirt year, and now able to play at George Mason for her final campaign. Casio boots it upfield for Casey, and it was a solid control, but just fizzed out of play. Davidson running the clock down, 15 minutes left in the first, potentially looking for a second. Casio winning the battle with Hoteling and keeping it in play. Ashman and Colcom exit, so Chontosh might be up top, actually, for Mason. More of a listed midfielder. And then Naja Ashman exiting for Katie Saunders. Saunders, the freshman defender from Aldie, Virginia. Casio controlling and playing over to Caruso. Switching the play well to Smith. Playing around the back. Not a lot of pressure coming from Hamid. And Davidson content to let things ride. Flung outside for Smith. Couldn't quite control it. A throw coming back for Mason. Another change coming for George Mason. Caitlin Butcher entering for Grace Hoteling. A midfield for defender swap. Maybe pushing Butcher a little further upfield. Butcher has appeared in every match, only started one though. And Saunders also started against Virginia off the bench as well. It appeared Mason was just trying to experiment with some new combinations after the tough loss to Georgetown at home. They go to Virginia, throw some freshmen and sophomores in the mix and see how it goes. They played somewhat competitively scoreline-wise, although they only attempted one shot the entire game. I think Virginia loaded them up. Might have had 9 1/2. But you have to give credit at least to Luisa Moser, the senior goalkeeper from Schmallenberg, Germany. She actually had 7 saves in the season opener against Georgetown. And against Virginia, had her hands full and managed to keep Mason at least in it for a little bit. Made the scoreline respectable. Now it was a nationally ranked opponent as well. Knocked off of Ditcham, going to go back to the Patriots. And the Cats battling for it. Throw coming on the far side as we head into the final third of this first half. Davidson comfortably leading. As Phoebe Fowler checking in for Catherine Smith, maybe Coach Denton here in these final few minutes, looking to add a second before the break. And Fowler, a very attack-minded player, likes to go down this right flank. She created very well against VMI, had her moments as well against William Peace, played some significant minutes, started the game actually. And Davidson may be hoping to launch more down the flanks where they've had so much success today. Intercepted by Bushick, or that was Ditcham. Over to Braemer on the wing. Nice footwork, skirts beyond one defender, and now Bushick in the middle. Slowing things up, looking back for Ditcham, and that one intercepted by Butcher. Excellent heads-up play by the sophomore. Hamid holding up for Butcher once again in a more advanced role than she is used to. And an aggressive challenge that time from Caruso to win it back. Davidson surging forward once again. Braemer on the left wing. Already one assist to her name, looking for a second. And was trying to find Bushick. Instead, Moser jumps the route, plays free safety, and navigates that one with few issues. Pace speeding up a bit here in these final 15 minutes. Some end-to-end play. As Yoon can't keep that one in on the left flank. And the Cats looking long for Pearson. We know her speed and her cleverness on the ball, using it against Eyolfsdottir, and a great challenge from the junior from Iceland. Davidson with a corner coming, but that could have been far more dangerous. It looked like Pearson had Eyolfsdottir beaten. Eyolfsdottir goes to ground smoothly and takes that one without committing any foul. Braemer and Caruso back on corner duty. And they've taken it short the first two times. This one taken directly now from Braemer. Interesting ball across goal. And deflected. Fowler can't quite keep the follow-up effort down. Davidson, though, ramping up the attacks once again. That one looked very intriguing. Still 1-0 on the scoreline, but more initiative coming from the Wildcats. The pace of the match slowed in the middle of that first half. Davidson ramping it back up, and Fowler almost bagging her first collegiate goal. Controlled by Kelverman. Mason maybe looking to take the sting out of things once again. Nothing they've done so far has really shocked Davidson's back line, but it only takes one effort when the scoreline remains this tight. And Davidson with more changes. Shannon Lytle entering this game. Did not play against William Peace, but played in the previous games. And she is a speedster and a shot machine. It's actually quite surprising she didn't manage to score last season. Was really getting herself into great positions and has quite the boot on her. And Voss lets that one roll out of play for a Mary Grace Bunch goal kick. Lytle enters for Casio, and they're actually playing Shannon Lytle. They're playing Gretchen Pearson now at left back. So an interesting alteration for Davidson. Meanwhile, Riley Patton entering for Emma Nguyen. Patton playing significant minutes against William Peace. And didn't get a goal or assist to her name, but was very impressive going forward. Played all over the field. Played in midfield. Also played up front as an out-and-out striker. And that was just an impressive game for Davidson. They got to really experiment with a lot of different formations they wanted to try. And they had success with all of them. It's encouraging signs with the way they won. Not just that they won, of course. And Lytle occupying a striker role. Pearson is at left back. We've never seen her there, actually, as they move Patton into her old spot in midfield. Pressure coming from Patton. Advantage played, and now a free kick for the Patriots. Hamrick standing over it as of now. have not called her name much today. Led this team in goals and assists last year. 3 goals, 3 assists. And the leading point woman at comeback for her senior campaign. Looking long onto the edge of the penalty area. Flick on header, just rolls to bunch. Not much trouble for the junior keeper that time. So a few more adjustments in the rotation. It appears Ditcham leading the point of that Davidson midfield. Braemer and Patton on the wings, and then Caruso at the base. Up top, they've thrown Bushick and Lytle. We've seen that combination before. Both of them got significant minutes off the bench last season. Drilled ahead. And back and forth we go. Saunders was on it for a moment. And Voss, with 6 minutes left in this first half, clearing out of play. Throw coming for Sophie Karras, the redshirt junior from Haymarket, Virginia. An interesting note, just a fun fact about this George Mason team, have 4 players from Haymarket, Virginia, and Battlefield High School. And all of those players actually won 3 straight state championships, if I'm not mistaken, in 16, 17, or 15, 16, and 17. We'll update you on those years when we have them. That's intercepted briefly by Lytle. And now a yellow card given as Bushick is held up.
Yellow card assessed to George Mason, number 20, Marissa Kelberman.
Kelberman picks up the yellow for stopping the obvious counterattacking opportunity for Davidson. First player in the book today for either side. Yesterday, for those of you who tuned in to the men's game, that was a very different story. 6 yellows given. This game a bit less chippy, but intriguing nonetheless. Davidson looking to put this one, or build a cushion, I should say, before the break. 2-0 is still a dangerous lead. Patton drilling it across goal. Finds its way to Bushick. Shot deflected and a corner coming for Davidson. They've ratcheted these up a few times this half. 4th corner for Davidson. They've run Caruso and Braemer around that spot every time, with Braemer standing over it normally. Took it short twice and whipped it in the 3rd time, and Caruso now standing over it with Braemer to her right. Caruso dinks it high, looks for Copper at the back post, and now Bushick in space. Into the middle. Briefly for Ditcham, and the over-the-head effort from Copper can't quite find the target. About 5.5 minutes remain. Davidson once again with another intriguing half chance. But nothing really devastating since that Casey header to open things up. Sarah Chantosh playing defensive mid now. And attacking down the flank is Ayolfsdotter. And Davidson with a throw. Final 5 minutes. We'll see if the Wildcats have any more changes up their sleeve. It looks like no one's at the scorer's table at the moment. Fowler still playing right back. They have Pearson still at left back. Have two very attack-minded, quick, mazy players on opposite flanks. Potentially trying to get more going down the wings where they have had success today. That's been really their points of emphasis. To find the likes of Braemer and Menard and Bushick even just around the edge of the penalty area and whip in some crosses. Mason struggled to defend those all afternoon. Foul against the Wildcats. Ditcham getting a talking to from the official. And a free kick coming. It looks like Moser, the goalkeeper, will take it. Actually played for SC Freiburg, an interesting note. A youth team in Germany. Freiburg, of course, in the Bundesliga's first division. And looking long, a bit of a miscommunication for the moment. And Hamrick looked to get on it. Caruso bails Davidson out of trouble there. And she's dragged down, wins a free kick. The little things she does for this team, aside from her boot and being able to connect the lines and get forward, she's very good at tracking back, a gritty player, and just manages to bail Davidson out of trouble and protect that last line of defense. 3 minutes left here in the first. Play slowing up a bit. Davidson looking to change that. A bit of contact. And a throw coming for Mason. Ditcham takes a shove in the back, plays it back to Caruso. And Patton battling for it. Butcher can't quite ride the challenge. Davidson intercepting a lot in the attacking half. They just haven't been able to hit quickly when they do. Mason's recovered well, credit to them. And Voss. Wildcats resetting. They've got 2 more minutes before the break. Looking directly for Lytle. Heavy touch. Hamrick battling with Ditcham for it. Ditcham getting aggressive. Very solid challenge. Loving the effort. And wins it back. Now Chantosh. She's moved further forward. Was playing kind of the base of that midfield. And now returns to that spot. Caruso. Closed down by Eyolfsdottir. And Mason winning the ball, 1.5 minutes to try to generate something going forward before the break. And connecting lines well. Ball intercepted quite routinely by Voss, but cleared only as far as Chantosh. Yoon to Hamrick. Ditcham once again just getting in the mixer and trying to intercept it. Drilled off of Caruso. 1 minute remains, and Bushick trying to navigate out of trouble. Davidson going to play back to Bunch. Smart play by Fowler, not trying to do too much upfield. And the Cats just trying to see this through to halftime or potentially generate one more break. Good ball from Fowler to Bushick, and the flick on for Lytle. About 25 seconds left now. Mason might not have the time to move forward that fast as they play it backwards. Kelberman, recipient of the only yellow card thus far as the clock ticks to 10 now. Good block from Braemer. And that is going to do it for the first half. The Davidson Wildcats leading 1-0 at the break, courtesy of a 5th minute headed goal by Hannah Casey. Davidson in control of things. They'll be looking to break things down, maybe pick the pace up a little more in the second half. We'll take a break with the action on the field. We will see you around the 2-minute mark at halftime for a breakdown of stats and tactics. Stay with us, folks. It's still a close one on ESPN+. And again, Casey's header was really brilliant. Davidson with Braemer and Casey up top. Sliker, Menard, Pearson in midfield with Caruso at the base. And then it looks like the same exact back line they started with. We got the same 11 as the starting 11. Meanwhile, Mason with a similar scenario, except Butcher is now operating on the right flank at right back. Looks like another 4-2-3-1. And the lone change that is interesting is once again you see Hamrick operating on the far side. Hamrick operating on the far side after flopping wings going the other way. And now playing left attacking mid after playing right attacking mid the bulk of last half. Ball played back to Bunch. Davidson resetting through Copper. And launched upfield, looking for Casey. Ball goes out of play. Kelberman ushers it that way. Be interested to see the possession stats if we ever had them, but you'd assume Davidson was probably hovering around 60-65% in that first half. They stroked it around very calmly. When Mason had it, they intercepted quickly. But once again, the big goal for this half, if you're Davidson, is getting back down the wings, creating that pressure you created in spurts in the first half, especially on that goal, and just put this thing out of reach if you can. And Holteling driven through the back. Free kick coming for the Patriots. Another interesting alteration, Chantosh, who operated more defensive mid last half, playing right attacking mid this half. And now Hamrick. Played backwards now to Moser. Wildcats had 4 corner kicks in the first. Mason didn't draw a single one. Davidson was really vigilant at the back about protecting things, not minimizing chances. Mason had a few free kicks off of fouls from far out, but those free kicks didn't amount to anything. They were long rangers that would have really required an awkward hop or two off of the initial header. So the Wildcats will be hoping to maintain that defensive solidity. They have 2 clean sheets on the year, including that win over William Peace, and then also in the season opener against Western Carolina had a clean sheet. And Cassio around midfield to restart play. Knocked over from Copper to Voss. And now Cassio, the left back, back at left back. She headed off the field around the midway point when they brought Fowler in to play a more attacking role. And the pressure forces another throw for the Wildcats. The junior from Florida to take. Looking for Menard. She had a pretty nice first opening 10 minutes. Wound up playing 22 minutes in that first half. Was very dangerous heading forward. Whipped in a few really dangerous balls. I believe initiated the actual attacking play that led to the goal. As Smith plays that around the back. Mason comfortably operating in this 4-2-3-1 formation. Trying to provide more support for Holcomb, though, than they did in that first half. In the first half, things were definitely a bit tough linking the lines, especially from midfield to attack. And Butcher cannot keep that one in play. First 4 minutes of the second half, very similar pace to the pace we ended with. Mason sitting back, trying to generate chances. A bit more aggressive, though, in trying to scoop the ball off Davidson players. I assume if the scoreline persists and we move in to the later portions of this half, you'll see those midfielders get a bit more assertive in trying to pickpocket Davidson midfielders and Davidson defenders. Hamrick sliding into the center of the park and out wide now over to Saunders. And a great interception there from Pearson. Played a bit of left back in that first half. Now back into a wing midfield role. Now Colcom coming back to claim. Hoteling tripping Caruso. No call either way. There's a lot of contact there. And Menard tries to intercept. Getting chippier now as Ashman gets into it with Menard. Free kick coming for Davidson. Bit more assertive battles in midfield. You can see Mason trying to do anything to get an edge right now and pick the ball off in Davidson's defensive area. Caruso back to Copper. Starter playing center back once again for Mason and intercepts here. Junior from Iceland went out briefly with a knock in the first half. Came back, played confidently and comfortably, and she looks all good to go alongside Kelverman, the only woman to receive a yellow card in this game thus far. Hoteling losing out to Sliker. And slid ahead for Pearson now, who travels back and loses out. Colcom on the edge of the area for the Patriots. And now bundled over right outside the penalty area. This is probably the most dangerous free kick positioning Mason's had all day. Good interception, and Davidson couldn't quite win it back without fouling. And now an intriguing situation for a Mason team looking for any spark to battle back. Grace Hoteling had 1 assist last season, potentially trying to add another, or maybe she'll drill one. I mean, it's an intriguing spot. Davidson with a 5-woman wall, and Bunch aligning everything. A lot of options here for George Mason. She's going to dink it into the center. Flick on header and a brilliant save by Mary Grace Bunch. Colcom got into a good position, and it had a little bit too much air on it, but Bunch did very well to dive to her left and parry it over the net. Corner coming for Mason. That was their most dangerous chance. Their second shot on goal, the only real one that's troubled Bunch, though. And they've got some personnel for a short one. Hamrick, 3 assists last season. Looking to apply more pressure on Davidson's net. Taken quickly. Headed by Caruso, cleared only as far. And it's offside. Chantos drilled it in for Colcom, and for a moment there it looked like she found the equalizer, was behind the last defender, and we've got a goal kick. "37 minutes left here in this one. Davidson being held a bit more in check defensively than they were in the first. Colcom forcing a good save and then getting behind the last line of defense, and for a moment looked like she may have leveled it, but the offside flag was up right as she touched it. Not much reaction from Davidson. They almost expected that the offside trap would work, and it did. Ball for Sliker. Lost out of play, and Butcher will take the throw at right back for the Patriots. A bit more of initiative shown by the women in green and yellow, as Dernberger plays it wide. Menard tracking back, and a bit more speed coming on the left flank for Mason. A throw coming for George Mason once again. A good run that time by Katie Saunders. Playing a wingish role. Not playing at fullback. An interesting spot for her. Teams trade possession now. Throw for Catherine Smith. And if that spell is any indication, we've belabored this point a lot, but if you're Davidson, you're seeing now it only takes one opportunity. You're going to need to try to find something going forward to put it out of reach. They played very well. You cannot take that away from them, but they'll just be looking to finish things off, because Mason right now showing a bit more initiative, generating a bit more pressure, and that last corner kick, free kick sequence was a bit scary for the Davidson faithful. Casey rushing after the Mason back line, and Hoteling plays that ball a little too softly. Eyolfsdotter, no issues there, and ushered back to Moser. Mason, as we talked about, has not gone deep into their bench. They really haven't all year, despite rotating well in terms of starting lineups. But only have played 3 players off the bench. Davidson's doubled that. They've ran 6. Casio gets in the way of that crossfield ball, and a good ball forward to Braemer. Davidson in space. Hailey Braemer with Menard to her right and Casey to her left. And Casey tries the early ball, is offside anyway, was looking for Menard at the back stick. A good idea. Time to run just a little early. Good quick spell of counterattacking play by the Wildcats. maybe trying to speed things up a little more, recognizing the urgency after the last free kick, corner kick sequence for Mason about 5 minutes ago. The stat line, Davidson 5 shots, 1 on goal. Mason 2 shots, both coming on frame. Of course, the first one, Dernberger dribbled it towards Bunch. The second one was really the threatening one from Mason. Copper maneuvering over. And Colcom, who had been involved earlier, doesn't quite have the opportunity she's looking for there. Now Casio trying to connect the lines. Good flick on from Casey. And Braemer looking through for Menard, might have been offside. Wins it back and looks for Pearson down the line. The senior midfielder from Glen Ellen, Illinois, can't quite keep that one in play, but you're liking the ideas from these Davidson midfielders, getting very creative, seamlessly moving into the attacking half. And once they find that final ball down the wing, it could get dangerous once again. Menard strolled over to Pearson and now Caruso. Davidson a bit more confidence, a bit more pep in their step as they try to put this one out of reach. Pearson, heavy touch that time from Menard, who's playing a more advanced role than we're used to seeing her. Usually she operates in a wing midfield spot. They've given her more license to roam, and it's actually put more pressure on Mason's fullbacks. It's worked quite well. And Smith looking for Casey. Back to Menard and Pearson. Davidson slowly stroking it around once again, navigating through tight windows well. Mason is closing down quickly. It's not like they aren't putting pressure on these midfielders. The likes of Menard, Caruso, Pearson, and Braemer have really done well to play out of trouble, especially Caruso and Menard, notably in these last few minutes. Caruso navigating another one of these tight spaces, has 2 on her, and still comes out of it with the ball. Good pressure coming from Hodeling and Colcom. And good 1-2 action from the Wildcats. Sliker can't quite scoop up the good ball from Braemer. Bit too much mustard on it. Casio takes a boot to the face from Hoteling. And a yellow comes for the high boot. Second yellow for Mason today. Casio looks a bit shaken up.
Yellow card assessed to George Mason, number 24, Grace Hoteling.
And I think they'll take Casio off the field. We hope she's all right. Looks a little shaken up, but a really rough boot from Hoteling, trying to play that on. Believe it was incidental contact, but that boot was a little high. 31 minutes left. Davidson still leading 1-0 and recovering well after a free kick, corner kick sequence that gave them a few issues. It was a good set, actually, on the corner, despite Colcom being offside. And they've generated a few nice spells of build-up going forward as Davidson makes a brief change. They're going to swap Smith over to the left and put Fowler on the right.
Checking in for the Wildcats, number 13, Phoebe Fowler.
Casio walking off slowly. She's just going to get a quick look. And the fans applaud her as she heads off the field to put in a really good shift today at left back. And they resume play through Voss. Wildcats trying to create down this right flank. Fowler, we've talked about, is very good at that. She links well on overlaps with players in that diamond midfield. It looks to be Menard right there. She's had her moments with Pearson and Braemer as well. And Menard in traffic, losing out that time. Mason looks to play out a trouble, and a throw-in coming on the far side right near the scorer's table. Play slowing up once again as Dernberger hoping to initiate something for the women in green and yellow. Eyoff's daughter back to Moser. Half an hour left. Mason still trying to find a breakthrough. both in this game and during the season, as Fowler intercepts intelligently. Another throw once again for the Patriots. More changes coming for Mason. Dernberger heading to the bench as Hamrick looks to hold up play for the Patriots. Jasmine Hamid re-enters. She started today, didn't play at the start of the second or end of the first, so she's getting her first run in about 20-25 minutes time. And they might play her alongside Colcom, have two up front, not leave Colcom as isolated as she's been. And an intriguing ball through to Braemer. It's overplayed by Butcher. Ayof's daughter recovering well. Former Arkansas player, scored a goal in the SEC and is comfortable in that scenario. Caruso poking that one free only temporarily, and Butcher can't play it down from Ashman. Another change. It looks like Bushick is going to enter for Allie Menard. Menard puts in a tremendous shift. She started today and very impressive in wing midfield. She makes way for Kendall Bushick, who is a more out-and-out striker. Davidson maybe approaching things a bit more aggressively here in the final few minutes, final half hour, I should say, as they look for Pearson down the right flank. And she wins the foot race. Gretchen Pearson looking for Casey, finds Braemer. Shot blocked, cleared only as far as Bushick, but Hamrick will slide onto it. Davidson picking up the pace quickly. It was another great move downfield. And it was an early cross. Looked like it was intended for Casey, and Braemer got closed down well enough. Now Ayof's daughter. Pearson boots it, looking forward for Casey. It's intercepted by Kelberman. And now Hamid trying to link the lines between defense and midfield. Finds Colcom. And for a moment there, looked like she might have been free. Recovered well by Smith to just boot that one away. Quick counter from the Patriots. One final ball away from generating a chance. Hoteling scooped up the yellow card earlier for the boot on Casio. And Bushick losing that battle. Quick linkage. And Copper dragged outside. And Hamrick intercepting the pass. Trying to put on the tricky footwork. Cuts back. And Hamrick slowly getting more involved. Couldn't steer that one on target and never looked like it would have troubled Bunch, even if it had been. A lot of air underneath it. But slowly growing into the match here. You'll be happy to see that if you're a Patriots fan. And Sam Casio re-entering for Catherine Smith. Good to see Casio's okay and good to continue. And midway point of the second half. She will look to see this one out here in the final 27 minutes. Caruso took a shot to the ankle and running back. And Voss with a brilliant floated ball over to Shannon Lytle. She's held up by Ayof's daughter, no flag. And Davidson throwing numbers upfield. Lytle on the wing, just checked in. Good ball inside for Braemer. Tweaks it over to Bushick. Good touch. Kendall Bushick pokes it in the far corner, and Davidson makes it 2-0. Brilliant build-up from the Wildcats. And Kendall Bushick slides it into the far right. 2-0 Davidson, and that's exactly what we were talking about. That's what they needed. They respond well after Mason applies the pressure. And now they look in prime position to secure their first A-10 win of the year. Great build-up from Davidson. It all started by Shannon Lytle sprinting down the wing. A great ball from Casio to find her. And then slides it over to Braemer, who poked it to Bushick. Great first touch and finish. Phenomenal team goal from the Wildcats, 2-0. here at Alumni Stadium, and the crowd perks up here. Hit him quickly and hit him where it hurts, really, now 2-0. More changes now. It appears Harris is back in and Yoon are back in for the Patriots. They started today. Mason returning to the bulk of their starting lineup as it's flung out wide to Shantish. And now Iofsdottir. Our player to watch has actually been quite impressive in the middle. But the issue is they've been good at intercepting that first ball, but Davidson's just hit them on crosses. So if you go direct, they manage to handle it well, but both times Davidson has scored, it's been created by crosses from the wing played back into the middle, and then they've found it very difficult to recover along that Patriot back line. Davidson looking to add insult to injury. Braemer, great ball forward for Ditcham. Aided onto Bushick, and that time it is saved. Bushick getting into great positions right in the middle of the penalty area and the gaps between the center backs without going offside. Two big opportunities and converted one of them. Braemer officially credited with the assist, her second of the day. Has really had her way in midfield. And Bushick with her second goal of the season, third career goal, slowly becoming a more consistent goalkeeper, a goal scorer for this Wildcat side. 2 goals in her last 3. May earn herself a start down the line as well. Iofsdottir floats it, and Pearson intercepts. Davidson with the wind in their sails at the moment. 24 minutes left. They're just looking to see this out, but I don't think they'd mind a third goal for extra security and also just to build the confidence heading into a game against Richmond on Thursday. Bushick sliding onto it, looks for Braemer. And now Ditcham. Lytle trying to slither through midfield. And Bushick comes back to scoop up the loose ball. Davidson linking everything coming off well at the moment. Now Cassio played the initial ball over to Lytle to really kickstart the action for that second goal. Braemer with some nice back and forth. Now Ditcham. Getting extended run in midfield after putting in a pretty impressive shift against William Peace on Wednesday. Pearson. Gets doubled. Hamrick comes back to intercept. And if you're Mason, you're going to need a goal really fast if you're hoping to get back into this thing. Davidson's been defensively solid all day. Really has only allowed one glaring chance for the Patriots. And they've closed it down before and after. Copper tracks over. Boots it out of play. Actually, Hamrick ultimately does the honors. And a throw coming for the Wildcats. Intercepted by Kelberman. And Mason looking to play out of trouble. Braemer has other ideas for the Wildcats. It's a beautiful day here at Alumni Stadium. A bit windy, but a great day for spring soccer. Davidson at 2-1-1, looking to advance that record to 3-1-1. And they look in prime position to do just that. Kendall Bushick putting the what looks to be maybe the finishing touches on it, and might do so again. Good ball for Hailey Braemer, and it's off the post. And it looked to be, after the 2 assists she had, it would be perfect to grab a goal. Got into free space. A great ball from Bushick. Reverse action from the second goal. Braemer just can't quite slot it home. Now back to the junior forward from Durham. A lot of more pressure coming from Davidson. Intercepting heavy. Casio's done a great job cutting off action downfield on the wings on clearances. And now comes in with studs up. Chantage. Played the bulk of the second half. Now over to Hoteling. Trying to find Colcom, but nothing doing for her. Davidson having their way throughout this match. 8 shots, 2 on goal, compared to 2 and 2 for Mason. Bunch made a pretty phenomenal save to keep the scoreline at 1-1 in the early stages of the second half. And since then, the Wildcats controlled it. Braemer with the flick on over to Bushick, who had a great first touch and a pretty routine finish. Had a one-on-one since, and Braemer actually had a one-on-one. Could have made this one 4 or 5 by the end of the game. And they'll be looking to add more damage here. Fowler tries to find Bushick, and the flag is up on the far side. Looked like she had the step on Eyolfsdotter there. Free kick coming for Moser. She's had the pressure on all day. Has yet to make a save. Both shots on goal have found their way into the net. Although I think she probably deserved credit for that second Bushick chance. I think she did get a glove to that. And Ditcham controlling well with her leg. And played along to Pearson on the far flank. Has Lytle to her right and finds her. Cats looking to pack on more damage. Instead, they say Lytle had the step and was offside. Under 20 minutes now, Davidson leading 2-0 in their A10 opener here at Alumni Stadium, looking to up their record to 1-0 and have 3 points in A10 play. The A10 season is limited this year. I think we talk about that on a lot of Davidson broadcasts, but they're in a pod. Very few sports have actually opted not to do this. So Davidson plays George Mason, Richmond, VCU, and George Washington on a rotating basis. And by the end of the year, then they will do the A10 tournament. It's set to occur between April 16th and April 18th. Games are set, will likely decide a location as we get closer. The A10 obviously in flux with a lot of their championships trying to get through the fall and winter seasons simultaneously. Casey and Wynn re-enter affairs. Casey, of course, scored the opener in the 5th minute and got into a few good positions since. All in all, a pretty good start for her today. Now operating more in wing midfield, played directly up front to open things. And Caruso played almost every minute at the base of that midfield, moving play along. The Cats looking down the line for Fowler, who's had an extended period of time on that right back spot. And it chip ball for Win in space. Cross was deflected, and another corner coming for Davidson. Their 5th of the afternoon. Had 3 in the first half. This is their first in a considerable amount of time, actually. And Caruso this time with Win to her left. They've been running this short corner set the whole afternoon. We mentioned it a few times. This time replacing Braemer with Win. And the outswinger is cleared only as far as Voss. And the center backs pushed far upfield, potentially looking to whip this back in. Bushick knocked over by Chontush, no whistle. And the Wildcats going to have to track back quickly. Do not want to allow Mason a path back into this. And a clean sheet would be big for their confidence as advantage is played and a free kick coming for Mason. Oddly enough, the schedule is overlapping a little. So the women's soccer team plays Richmond on Thursday in another A10 game, and then they go to VCU next Thursday. Meanwhile, the men play George Mason next Saturday or Sunday, I believe, at home. So a lot of soccer matchups with Mason in the near future. Dinked ball, headed up in the air, ball still loose, And the shot blocked from Karras. Butcher tries to put it back into trouble as Ashman rolls onto it. Good recycling by the Patriots as they drill it back into the box. And Ditcham clears that one comfortably. Ditcham's put in a phenomenal shift off the bench today, playing over 26 minutes. She actually started against William Peace, and a promising piece in midfield for the Wildcats' future. Ball out wide now for Chontush. Casio pressuring. And a phenomenal challenge by Ditcham to win that battle with Karras. And she did get the bulk of the ball that time. It did look, obviously, like a ferocious challenge, but I thought it was a fair one. And some changes now for Mason. Davidson also bringing Patton back into the game for Bushick. We will get an update on the Mason changes when we have them. Dernberger re-entering for Mason, as is Catherine Smith for Davidson. Believe Fowler will likely head to the bench as Casio comfortably takes her spot on the left. 15 minutes left. Davidson leading 2-0, in full control of affairs this afternoon, and hoping to see out a clean sheet and a win they should now get. Been defensively solid pretty much all year. Have not allowed more than one goal in a game this year, and have kept 2 clean sheets in 4 matches previously. Throw over, played back to Karras. And Colcom drilled through the back by Casio. No whistle, and a goal kick coming for Mary Grace Bunch. And Bunch to take another goal kick. He's made 2 saves today. Had 4 coming in. Did not actually have to make a save against William Peace earlier in the week. Only played 20 minutes, and William Peace hardly logged a shot on net until the second half when O'Byrne just caught it routinely. Moser will try to boot something upfield as Mason tries to get back into things in the final 14. This is a George Mason team that went 3-11-3 last year after having a lot of success in the A10. They have not reached an A10 title game, but between 2015 and 2018, as we mentioned, they made 3 of 4 A10 semifinals. They've got great NCAA tournament history. In their opening 3 years, I believe, made the tournament and then won the national championship in 1985. Program established, as far as we know, in 1982, at least at the D1 interscholastic level. Smith looks to clear, and Mason hops onto it. An intriguing header that time from Chontush. Doesn't really trouble Bunch as it flies over the bar. And Davidson set to make more alterations. Sliker back there, and I believe Braemer might also be re-entering. Ditcham and Wynn making way. And that is going to be the change. It's been a pretty clean game, at least on Davidson's side. No yellows, a few fouls called here and there, of course, but and only 2 yellows for Mason. 1 on Kelberman in the first half, and 1 on Hoteling for the high boot on Casio earlier in the second. Coach Todd Bramble, we talk about his pedigree. Before coming to George Mason, interesting fact, he coached Alabama, and he allowed them to secure their first NCAA tournament berth in 2011 since 1998. Before that, he also coached Clemson as a head coach. He reached the NCAA tournament every year. He reached the quarterfinals once, and he reached the round of 16 twice. He didn't have a single losing season at Clemson, and had his first outright losing season since Mason's inaugural year in the A10 last year. This is a George Mason program that has actually never won a conference tournament title. In the late 90s, they made 2 CAA championships, and they lost both, but they made the NCAA tournament both those years. And, of course, in the A-10, they've competed very well. Went 8-2 in 2018, had one of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, that's since changed this year, allowing 2 goals in every matchup they played thus far, and averaged around over 2 allowed per game last year. But this is a program with potential, a program with an opportunity to rebuild, and they'll look to continue recruiting. They're recruiting internationally and trying to get talent from there and develop it. I'm sure in a few years you'll see them back at their rightful spot in A-10 contention. This year might not be that year, though. If today and their early season performances and given the limited slate of games are any major indication. Moser has this ball far outside her area. As we approach the final 10 minutes, Davidson leading 2-0 and controlled much of the opening 80. Voss battling with Chantush, cleared only as far as Hoteling. And a bit of back and forth. Should have a throw coming for Mason, as Butcher claims that from a fan in the crowd. Hoteling fouling Patton, kicked her in the back of the leg, and a free kick coming for the Wildcats. Riley Patton now operating as an out-and-out striker. We saw that a little bit Wednesday. She more operates as a wing midfielder. And Davidson just tweaking things, trying to see what works and maybe become a more flexible and versatile team tactics-wise throughout the year. 5th game of the season for this Wildcats team. 2-1-1. And looks hoping to up that to 3-1-1 and claim 3 points in their opening A-10 game. And this program's had an impressive turnaround under Adam Denton. We talk about this on Davidson broadcasts often, but in his 3rd season last year, brought them from a team that didn't win an A-10 game all of 2018 to a team that opened the A-10 campaign very fast. Won 2 games in, I believe, 3 matches. And finished 3-5-0, but went 500 after really struggling in previous years and showed potential for development. You're seeing that thus far. There were issues with Davidson's attack earlier in the season. We mentioned they only had 2 goals in 3 D1 games coming in. They solved those today, doubling that tally alone, and could have created far more, had multiple big-time opportunities. Hamrick has space. She grew into the match and faded really after the 2nd goal. 3 goals and 3 assists last year, leading returning point woman, and overall a somewhat frustrating afternoon for her and the Patriots alike. Davidson really controlling possession. Good overlap, and Casey can't quite find Braemer on the flick on. A good interception by Butcher. A throw for Smith. Davidson fans appreciating what they're seeing here. Wildcats not slowing things up until the end. More alterations. Fowler coming in for Sliker. Probably going to occupy a wing midfield role. And she will slot in over there. Now moving to right back. They've moved Casio into the middle alongside Copper, and now Grace Voss playing left back. A new back line pairing, rearrangement, if you will. And the diamond now looking with Braemer up top, Menard on the wing. Pearson on the wing. And Caruso at the base. Quick throw for Mason, 7.5 minutes remaining. Time winding down slowly as Hamrick looking for Colcom. Launched to the back post. Smith will boot that one out of play. And a corner coming for Mason, their second of the afternoon, Had one on the free kick that was saved around the 30-minute mark. Hamrick will take this. Probably their best passer on this team as well. Although Emma Lee, who has not played since the second game of the season, might have something to say about that. Into a dangerous position. There's a head on it. And it's cleared for the time being. Davidson dealing with a bit more trouble on that one than they did on the first. And dinked into trouble. Miscommunication between Casio and company, and it's slotted in. A goal for George Mason, and they make this interesting. Sarah Chontish scooping up the loose ball and giving George Mason their first goal of the 2021 campaign. Game on once again, folks. 6:25 left. Davidson going to have to see this one out. And now more changes coming as Patton and Casey make way. Lytle and Bushick back into things. And against the grain of play, on their third shot of the afternoon, George Mason halves Davidson's lead. And I guess this is why you want the insurance goal, but now they're going to have to protect things. Casio with the miscommunication between her and Bunch, and I believe Chontish is the one who capitalized. Braemer trying to find Smith on the overlap. It's going to be intercepted by Butcher, and a bit more life for George Mason, entering this one 0-3, but bagging their first goal of the 2021 campaign. Goal is credited to Chontish. No assist woman listed. And Lytle scoops up the aerial ball, and Mason trying to play through midfield. Hoteling to Colcom, shrugging off Davidson defenders, and it's intercepted by Voss. The Cats rearranging their back line a little bit as Braemer gets into it with Dernberger. Free kick for the Patriots. 5.5 left. Moser will look to put this into trouble. And it's lofted long, a good header from Smith, and now Lytle trying to shrug off defenders. Ball manages to skew inwards, and Bushick scoops onto it. She has space. Moser is out of goal. Bushick dinks it. What a finish from Kendall Bushick. Slides into the top corner. And Davidson eases all nerves at Alumni Stadium with their third of the afternoon. Kendall Bushick grabbing a brace and doubling her career collegiate goal tally in one afternoon. 3-1 Davidson, responding very well to George Mason's unexpected corner kick goal. And Kendall Bushick catches Moser out of her net on the free kick. It dipped perfectly for a picture-perfect finish for the Wildcats. 4:42 remaining, and Davidson now looking a bit more comfortable. Not a lot of time left for Mason, but now have opened their account, so maybe we'll see over the next couple minutes if things get interesting. Chontish, the goal scorer, responded quickly by Bushick, and that's why they brought her in to make an impact. She's definitely earned herself more looks in playing time, I feel like. Started occasionally last season, and now with 3 goals to her name, 2 today, in form, she's going to get more looks for that starting 11. Ball drilled low. Casio tries to let it roll out of play, and they're going to say it's a goal kick as the clock slides under 4 minutes. Catherine Smith gets credited for the assist. The right back, she has an impressive boot on her. Not known for surging forward as much, but is a very balanced fullback. And that is her 4th career assist, first point of the 2021 campaign in her senior year. Mason with 3.5, trying to slide it around the back and make things interesting once again. Butcher dinks it over to the wing. And now Dernberger drills it inside to Colcom. Great defending by Copper to poke that one free, and Davidson has more space. Bushick slides it forward to Lytle. The flag stays down. Moser rushing out. Lytle trying for her first career goal and has an empty net. And now sliding once again, tries to drill it into the back of the net, but the ball had the sting taken out of it, and Moser will claim it well. Great ball by Bushick to slide it forward, really get into the space well, and with Mason throwing numbers forward desperately, Davidson almost caught them out once again. 3 goals against a D1 opponent, only had 2 coming into today, and after scoring 7 on Wednesday against William Peace, you'd have to figure their confidence will be at an all-time high as they enter Thursday afternoon's action. Quick turn from Hamrick. Launches one. Can't quite keep it down, and it's going to be a goal kick with 2 minutes left for Mary Grace Bunch. (3-1) Wildcats. They've got 9 shots, all 3 that came on goal found their way into the back of the net. Meanwhile, Mason with 5 and 4 on goal, 2 of which were really troubling. 1 of which, of course, found its way into the back of the net about 10 minutes ago. Fowler looking upfield. Bushick will scoop up the loose ball, and more space to run into as Menard gets on her horse on the near side. Butcher trying to win the foot race and does, but pokes it out of bounds for a Wildcat throw. 90 seconds left. Davidson up 3-1, and hope slowly dwindling for the visitors. Menard with an intriguing, clever dummy run, draws the foul as she's pulled down by Chontish, and a free kick with 1:10 for the Wildcats. Caruso rushing over to take, and the clock continues to tick. 1 minute as Caruso and Smith will look at this one. Caruso would be an in-swinger. Smith would have been an out-swinger, but now Lytle strolls in the vicinity. And now Lytle stands over it, taken quickly for Caruso, who will try to occupy the corner and just run things down. Corner coming for Davidson, and you'd figure now they're just going to run this out. They're comfortably in the lead. No need to do more damage. Lytle standing and occupying trouble, navigating through traffic. And just a little bit of keep away from Davidson, a little training ground drill.
10, 9.
Caruso now on the throw, and that is going to really do it.
3, 2, 1.
That is going to do it for Davidson women's soccer here at Alumni Stadium. The Wildcats winning 3-1 in their A10 opener, their second straight A10 opener. They've won, and really building momentum as they head into the bulk of Atlantic 10 play. They will take on Richmond at home on Thursday night. You can catch us there. It is going to be a 6 p.m. game, and then they head to VCU the following Thursday. Davidson grabbing their second consecutive win, really breaking their D1 goal drought. 3 goals after coming in with only 2. And an overall dominant performance. Hannah Casey on the opener. Kendall Bushick scored 2. Mason did hit back well late on a corner from Sarah Chontish.